Hong Kong protesters. That's another major global story. They're shelving talks with the government, saying the authorities have allowed force to be used against peaceful demonstrators.
So how far could this showdown escalate? With us now is Claudia Rosett. She is Foundation for Defense of Democracy's journal-in-residence. She was also in Beijing covering the 1989 Tiananmen Square uprising. She was right there on site. Claudia, today, of course, we heard about how there were some pro-government demonstrators. Now, when I hear pro-government demonstrators in dictatorships, I always just assume that these are actually government goons working in civilian clothing. Am I paranoid?
Your assumption is entirely reasonable. Bring out the government goons. This is actually standard tactics. It's what China did in Hong Kong during the Cultural Revolution to make trouble. And this looks to me like the way the Beijing may be trying to finesse the problem they've gotten right now with these demonstrations in Hong Kong.
Claudia, it's Liz.
Send out thugs.
Yeah, well, exactly. And other countries do it too. I mean, you had Mubarak in Egypt doing the exact same thing. Sure. Or Ashley Webster was there and said it was just so obvious. But that being said, if these people do succeed in rising up and roiling the protesters, could this then become another Tiananmen Square of which you won many awards and covered very specifically in China in 1989, where the government simply opened fire and killed a lot of people?
This is my speculation,
okay,
but my reading is what the government is hoping is that this will turn in the eyes of the world into a sort of local mud fight. There will be goons and demonstrators and people will just say it's a local spat. I think that's how Beijing hopes this will then just sort of go away. But another possibility here is that these demonstrations simply continue, and I think there is a real basis for that. This protests are not spur of the moment. This has been coming for more than 30 years. The endless betrayals of the promises to Hong Kong, and Beijing is capable of finally saying, no, we're going to shut this down with murderous violence and followed by arrests, intimidation. I would rule out nothing. That's the danger here.
All right. Claudia, by the way, we should mention, who also was based in Hong Kong for 6 or 7 years, and you just returned from Hong Kong, so you got a bird's eye view. There's a wonderful guy named Martin Lee, who's now in his 70s. I remember when he was in his 40s. Shows you how old I am. But he's been the leader of the democracy movement in Hong Kong for a long time. He's kind of the elder statesman of the democracy protesters. Yeah. Is he working now with the young guys who are in the front lines of the barricades now?
I don't know whether he's sort of immediately coordinating anything. What I do know is for years, including just last month, he has been leading demonstrations and he has been articulating the ideas behind this. The important thing to understand, David, is these people who are asking for democratic elections in Hong Kong are both within their rights morally, in general terms, and they were promised this by the government of China and the government of Britain when Hong Kong was handed over in 1997. The promise goes back 30 years. That's what they're asking for, and that is what Martin Lee has been asking for decades. That's what's behind this, and this is a mature polity we're talking about. They have the institutions, the British rule of law, the markets, and the understanding of how they work. They're not firing rockets at their neighbors. They're not threatening to obliterate anybody. They want their rights to elect their leaders.
Claudia, give us what you think will be the next stop on the roadway here in Hong Kong. What are you looking for? Do you expect that there will be a tripwire of some sort between the goons, as you've called them, and the student protesters, or the government moves, or there's a negotiation point? What's next that you're looking for?
There are a lot of variables in play here. China, I have no doubt, is running through a calculus right now trying to figure out how to handle this in a way that provides minimum encouragement in the rest of China to people to demonstrate for their rights as well. And an important factor, this cannot be underestimated, China is sensitive to international criticism. The comments from the democratic world have so far been there but muted. It would probably matter in Beijing's calculus to hear very directly from top Western leaders, presidents and prime ministers, that the Western world really cares about this, that we understand the importance of what's
Well, let's hope we do speak up with a louder voice. And again, Hong Kong is the golden goose. The Chinese government should be very careful. They know that better than anybody else. They don't want to kill the golden goose. Claudia Rosett, Foundation for Defense of Democracy. Great to see you, Claudia. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Claudia.
See you.